Hello and welcome to another episode of how to create a level in Sonic Adventure 2. Today we'll be talking about how to place objects into our level, objects such as rings, enemies, and more. And so I just wanted to start off this video by apologizing for the hiatus. I originally planned to upload this video a lot earlier, but I was actually researching and looking at the different ways of putting in objects to try to see what's the easiest right now. You wouldn't believe there are so many different apps that are just dedicated to this one purpose. But I think I found something good. I'm going to show you guys what I think is the easiest method right now. And if that ever changes, I'll be sure to let you guys know. I'll make another video. But for right now, today we are going to be using the SATools Hub. The SATools Hub. And if you guys are unfamiliar with the SATools Hub, this is basically a little app suite where you can find all sorts of things and little apps that will help you mod out the game in different ways. To begin, before we go into the level editor, I do recommend, we are going to need to create a project in SATools. So if you haven't already, what I suggest you do is you go over here to New Project, and you're going to want to fill this out. So you're going to choose Sonic Adventure 2, PC SA2, and create project. And what that'll do is it'll actually rip out a lot of the game files into assets that you can use. So for example, it'll rip from the game things such as levels, things such as models, sounds, images, etc., etc., etc. As for me, I've already created a project off screen, so you guys don't have to see that. And it should be an SAP file. But I want you to notice there's also this folder here that's the same name as the project, and that'll be home to all the assets that got ripped from the game. So I'm going to load up the project here, and you'll see as I load the project, we'll get a whole bunch of new icons on the right. And what we're going to be loading into today is what's known as SALVL. Now, SALVL is a really nice tool that gets used to edit levels, and look at levels and do all sorts of different things. Now, I know we haven't used SALVL too frequently in this modding series. That's because for things such as geometry and splines and all that, it is better done in Blender. But SALVL is very good for doing and configuring some things that are a little more advanced. So for example, it has support for animations, as you can see on the left, death zones, set items, which are actually the items that we'll be placing today, cameras, etc., etc. So to start, what you're going to see is you're going to see a little dialog over here that's asking you to choose the level that you would like to open. Now here, it's very important that you choose the level that you're porting your custom level over. So typically I port my levels over City Escape, but if you're porting your level over something else, say Weapons Bed or something like that, or Wild Canyon, make sure you choose the right level for that. So I'm going to open up City Escape, and the reason why you want to choose a specific level is, if you remember from the first tutorial video, we learned that each level has its own texture pack. Well, just like how each level has its own texture pack, when it comes to Sonic Adventure 2, each level also has its own object list. Now, what does that mean? Well, you know that every stage has, rings and enemies and stuff like that. But depending on the level, some things can change, and there might be new objects, and there might be, some objects taken out. So, for example, City Escape in particular has a couple of custom objects, and some things that come to mind are, the ramps. Ramps are custom to City Escape. We also have cars. We also have the trash cans. And so some things important, some things a little less important. But it is important to note that these are specific to the level. And so by opening City Escape specifically, this will allow us to use and add City Escape type objects to our level. By the way, some small things, some basics about how to use SALVL is we have this nice little view panel in the middle, and in order to use it, you can put your mouse over it, and you're gonna click and hold the scroll button on your mouse, and this will allow you to look around if you want to make it a little easier on yourself, you can go over here to view mouse options, and you can click this wrap around screen edges, so you can just keep moving your mouse and that'll let you keep scrolling left and right. And something else you can do is if you scroll with the mouse wheel, so you can scroll forward and backwards, that will allow you to kind of walk through the level. And so you can see here, you know, I can walk through the level. I know it's a bit finicky at first. Trust me, it took us some time to get used to, but you know, once you get used to it, it's a pretty decent system. Yeah, that's some of the basics of how to use SA level. Now that we've gone over that, what we're now going to do is open up our specific land table file and start adding objects to it. So you're going to do that by hitting File over here, Open, and you're going to hit Land Table over here. And you're going to need to navigate to where your level is stored. And so for me, I have a shortcut that takes me to the Sonic Adventure 2 install. And if you're unfamiliar with it, the path, it kind of looks like this. It's either going to be in your C or D drive, and it's going to be in Program Files times 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Sonic Adventure 2. Should look something like that. And so I'm going to go into my mods folder, and my level is actually saved in my level mod. I was working on a little a little pet project of mine called Frantic Frisco. Originally, it was supposed to be a little modification of City Escape, own custom level where instead of going through the streets, you actually run on the rooftops. Now, I never really went too far with it, but we still have kind of the beta over here. So we're going to be playing around with that a little bit today, and we're going to add some objects to it. But you'll see, you know, even though we imported our custom land table, we still have some of Cityscape's objects here. So once we import our land table, something we're going to want to do is clear out all these old objects. So I'm going to do that by going over to Edit, Set Items, and I believe, actually no, it's going to be Edit, Clear Level, Set Items. And that should delete everything. Yeah. Okay. Now, once we do that, something we're going to need to do is we're also going to need to import the object list. Now, again, I understand that we already opened up Cityscape, but I was playing around with this. Apparently, that's not enough. I don't know if there's like a bug they need to fix or something. But for the time being, you also have to manually import the object list. So we're going to do that by going to File, Open, Object List. And you're going to want to navigate back to your project install. So over here, I have the Sonic Adventure 2 test level. In here, I have my SATools project folder. This is the folder that we kind of made earlier when we created a project. And we're going to navigate to our specific level folder. So here I have Cityscape, but you can keep scrolling. You should see some of the levels here. And once I open that up, you should see object list right here. So I'm just going to open that one up. And you should see everything is fine. If you see an error, go back to the tutorial. Make sure you do everything. You know, even if you skip the step where you import the Cityscape, I tend to find that kind of causes an error. But once you do that, you should actually be good to go. So how do we start adding objects to our level? Very simple. Right-click anywhere in your viewpoint. So I'm looking right here at this building. I want to add an enemy that kind of stands right in front right here. So I'm going to right-click there. I'm going to hit Add. I'm going to add a set item over here. And you'll see this little, box pop up. And you'll see all these different options you can choose from. Now, I know some of them are going to be a little hard to understand. For example, I mean, look at this. You know, quadringle. Like, I have no idea what that is. And I don't expect you to know it either. So something you could do is you can actually, there's a wiki link. I'm actually going to drop it down in the description. That details exactly what each one of these means, because these are actually code words for some of the objects in the game. So something like this is a little more understandable. Rocket or a rocket missile. I have no idea why there's 3 S's in there, but okay. So you have all these different choices. Definitely check out the wiki. That'll kind of translate some of these for you. But for my case, I can import any one of these over here. So I'm going to try to find an enemy. And I believe, I can go with Hunter. That should be the tall robot guy. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Hunter. Where's Hunter? Hunter. Carman. Jump Carman again. Board count. Hunter. Okay. So I'm gonna add that in, and what that's done is it's officially added it in, the Hunter that is. But you'll notice we don't really get quite a visual indicator that it's there. So you're just gonna have to kind of trust that it's there. I know that could be a little hard, but you know it'll it'll work out. Just give it a chance. So now what you're going to want to do is once it's placed down, you can actually play around with where it is by hitting one of these indicators on the top left. That'll change the mode that you're in. So for example, I just chose this 4 arrows, and what that lets me do is it lets me move my object. Oh, there's a visual indicator. Okay, that caught me by surprise. Okay, some of the objects you'll notice, they'll just spawn boxes, but I guess for the Hunter, look, it works. Great. So you'll notice that, you know, I popped him out of the ground, and, you know, now he's here. So definitely go into move mode and, you know, play around with your objects. And so you'll notice, you know, I moved him out of the ground. Now he's there. But something I do have to make sure he does is I have to turn him over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the rotate mode, and I'm going to click on one of these rings. Now you'll notice something weird with the rings, and I noticed this too, is that it doesn't really work the way you would think it should, or like the way it works in Blender, where you kind of follow the arrow. But really, these mostly work on moving your mouse left and right. So I'm going to choose this red ring right here, and I'm going to move my mouse left and right, and you'll see how that changes it. So going up and down shouldn't do that much. Left and right, I guess, is what ends up, you know, changing this the most. So I'm going to move my mouse to the right until I get this in a position I like. I'm going to change this green ring. Is that okay? No, it's not the right ring. I want to rotate it towards me. So I guess this is going to be this blue ring. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to change this blue ring a little bit, and then I'm going to scroll backwards to kind of see this. You'll get used to the movement eventually. Again, if I find a better way, you know, I'll let you guys know. But you know, this is what we got so far. And so, you know, just by playing around with it, you can kind of move it in the position you want. And so now I've added a Hunter. Something else I can do is I can add like a little spring to this building over here. So I want to add a little spring to this roof. So I'm going to go add set item. And I'm going to add a ground spring over there. And you'll see we get something over here. We also get to see what it looks like. It looks like it moved it a little too out. So I'm going to fix that by moving it in. I'm going to push it in a little more like that. And I'm also going to rotate it now. So let's see. Okay, so it's not that ring. It's not that ring. This ring. See, so you need some trial and error, but definitely patience. But you will eventually get it. And so, you know, just by playing around with those 3 things, now I have a spring there. Now I have a spring there, and now I have a Hunter there. And, you know, something good about SA level is, you know, once something is in place, you know that it should be that place in the game. I was playing with different methods of doing things. I was even playing with a method of putting enemies in through Blender, and I noticed that, you know, the locations of these things and the settings that I had done in Blender didn't really save, but SA level tends to be like very consistent with these things. So once these objects are in a place that you put them in and you feel that they're good, they're definitely going to stay in when you save your level. So that's great. We have these 2 objects now. I can go ahead and add maybe some rings too, if that's not too difficult. So let me see. I'll add a line of rings here. Put them over here. Yeah, you'll see how this is a box instead of, you know, rings. That tends to happen sometimes with some of these objects. But once we put those objects in, we should be good to go. So once you've put your objects into your level, you can go ahead and save that by going over here to File and going to Save. And once you do save, it's going to ask you to save a set file. And this set file is actually what stores all of the objects that you've placed in your level. So something I'm going to do is I'm going to go navigate back to my my level mod. So I'm going to go to the Sonic Adventure 2 folder, mods, my level mod, GDPC. And you should notice we have two set files here. S, all you need to know is S stands for the main one, and U is kind of like a secondary one, which you don't have to worry about. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that this set file is going to be the same name as this one, which should be set0013_s.bin. Otherwise, it won't work. So make sure it's that exact name. And I'm just going to hit save. And once I save, we should be good to go. Like, that should be it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to close my level. And, before I, close out SA level, I do want to let you know that some of these objects, while placing them may be simple, they also do have alternate settings or configurations that you may need to set manually. You'll notice here, if I click on any of these objects, we should see a pane of different details on the right. So you'll see stuff like position, rotation, and scale. Well, when it comes to those things, you'll notice here that this scale, internally, even though scale you would think is like the size of something, the way that SA2 sees scale for some of these objects is they can actually mean things such as, for the hunter, maybe shooting speed or type of shot. So for example, I know for Rouge's level, the hunter bots there, some of them don't shoot regular lasers, but they shoot like this blue goop that kind of traps you. And for stuff like springs, I know one of the scales, I forget which one exactly though, represents how far the spring shoots you out. So I'm going to try to leave another link for that down below in the description so you guys can understand that. But once we've saved our set file, we should be good to go. So I'm going to close out SATools Hub. I'm going to open up the mod manager over here, and I'm going to make sure my level mod is selected. And just to go through this really fast, I'm going to go through the debug menu and load up the menu directly. So I'm going to select Cityscape and hit play, and we should see that my objects are there. So I'm going to load in. You see I landed on the roof, and you should see, wow, look at our objects are there. Now, interestingly, I did not get a line of rings. I got a single ring. Maybe I have to rotate that. I'm not sure. But you'll see if I go next to the hunter, he'll activate. It doesn't look like his shots are working too well. So that's definitely something I probably need to configure. I think it's one of the scales is shot speed. But I can get that guy. I know the camera's being a little weird. You see, I never finished this level, so cut me some slack here. Yeah, that's basically it. That is basically all you need to know when it comes to putting in objects into your custom level. So I want to say, thank you for watching. Again, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to check out the X-Hacks Discord, which should be linked down below in the video description. And I hope you have a good one.